Hey there, once again, I'm Russ, and welcome back to this lesson on authentication and authorization. We're going to be talking about setting up hybrid identity for your Azure environment. So we're going to start with a decision tree, which before you let your eyes cross trying to read this, I'm going to make it pretty simple. Basically, if you're going to have cloud native Active Directory, yes or no, then if yes, then it's a question of what level of security and or protection or disaster recovery you're going to want to use, which will result in your sign-in method. Or if you're not cloud native AD, then you're using ADFS. And then it's just a question of whether or not you want the credential reports or not, in which case ADFS or ADFS with password hash sync. The main thing to remember is that if you are going to use cloud native Active Directory, then it's just a question of what kind of sign-in method you're really looking for. And if you're using ADFS, it's hash sync or not. So a couple of things to cover on these tree questions is, first off, Azure AD can handle single sign-on for users without relying on on-premise resources. Again, are you using cloud or federated services? Azure AD can hand off sign-in to an ADFS provider. And if you want to use user-level security policies, then you're going to have some on-premise components for Azure AD to work. Azure AD does not natively support all sign-in features. So smart cards, on-premise multi-factor authentication servers aren't going to be supported. Third-party auth isn't supported. And multi-site on-prem auth is also not supported natively by Azure AD. There are components that can make those work, but out of the box, so to speak, they're not going to. And lastly, if you're going to use Azure AD identity protection, then password hash sync is going to be required regardless of what sign-in method you end up using. All right, so let's look at the difference between your password hash synchronization and pass-through auth when dealing with single sign-on. And again, I'm not going to read this to you, but the gist of it is that password hash synchronization is going to be the cloud solution. Pass-through authentication is the cloud and on-prem solution. So your hybrid, in this case, for pass-through, assumes that you have on-premise servers that are handling Active Directory. And password hash sync does not necessarily require on-prem servers, but can work with them. And that's really it for hybrid identities. For the exam, depending on the scenario presented to you for the question, whether or not you already have an integrated Active Directory system running on-premise and you have to integrate with it, or if the determination is to run everything as possible in the cloud. Next video, we're going to be talking about B2B integration. See you there.